The two leaders of the 9/11 Commission, Thomas Kean and Lee Hamilton, put out an op-ed piece, and it reads in part, 9 years after the 9/11 Commission made its case, our country is still not as safe as it could and should be. Do you agree?
I do agree, and I think the point they were making, and a point that a recent study of the Aspen Institute in Sunnylands has pointed at, which I've been part of, is that we still don't have congressional focus on Homeland Security by giving the Homeland Security committees the appropriate level of jurisdiction so Congress can contribute its part to Homeland Security. There are still some issues we have to address. For example, the screening of private aircraft coming in from overseas. Those aircraft could, God forbid, one day have a weapon of mass destruction, or the screening of small boats. But you need congressional action to enable the Department of Homeland Security to deal with these threats. And because Congress has been fragmented and has refused to come together behind the Homeland Security committees, we don't get the kind of congressional focus that would be appropriate.
I have a lot of concerns with Homeland Security. One of the editorials that was in the New York Times today talked about the lack of focus on multiple committees, the focus on multiple committees instead of single committees of jurisdiction. And I know it's difficult for Homeland Security to answer all the questions from the 88 different committees and subcommittees that they have to answer to. And that's one of the things we ought to be about changing.
Today, as you mentioned, there is a very good op-ed in the New York Times. I actually buy the print edition, I want you to know, called Homeland Confusion by Tom Kean and Lee Hamilton, our good friends.
It is amazing to me that the Congress would ask two of America's great public servants, Lee Hamilton and Tom Kean, to spend about a year and a half or 2 years, take all that testimony and say, we as a Congress want to know how we can help this new department mature and how we can make our country safer. And two of the most obvious and needed recommendations made 10 years ago: consolidate jurisdiction on the Hill and provide a public safety broadband network so that our police and fire and emergency responders can handle future crises and all that. And we're not there.
Let me just address reorganizing Congress, which I think is absolutely essential and will be very difficult to do. I was in the painful conversations with, I'm not sure if it was the Democratic caucus, maybe Senator Baldwin remembers back in the day, about the need for more jurisdiction for the House Homeland Committee. And the pitch was made and people nodded, and then someone from the House Commerce Committee stood up and said, oh no, but you know, this notion of a interoperable emergency broadband network is central to our jurisdiction. And so, of course, Reid, no change.
I spent several days out at the Sunnylands estate at the Annenberg Foundation site in Rancho Mirage with Lee Hamilton and Tom Kean as part of the Aspen Task Force that produced the report that was set out today. My proposal would be that be submitted and attached to the record because there's a detailed discussion of that rather than take the committee's time here. I would say that I would not have served on that task force if I didn't subscribe to the concept that we need to make this simpler.